now we're going to look at the second question. It may appear as the first or the second question in your set of question because I shuffle all the questions. So the first part of the question is basically considered focus on the maths and comparison. The second question is the second question is that you have to solve a shift register, solve the problem using a shift register. Okay, so the question for everybody, for every set is the same. The difference is just simply on the timing as well as the address that I put in the table. So I will basically look at everybody where they are in the a group and make sure that the address is correct. Okay, so I'm just going to give one example here for all of the sets. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand that for a problem that uses a shift register, you should have some sort of concrete flow of the process. Okay, so here we have to define the process as steps. Okay, and each step should have the start trigger point and the end trigger point. Okay, so if we take a look at the question, the first step is basically the conveyor. So step 1 is conveyor on. Okay, so this is the trigger, the starting trigger, and you should also have the ending trigger. Okay, so conveyor should on, and then the ending trigger is the stamping sensor detect the product. Okay, so step 2. Okay, step 2 is we need to on the stamping cylinder. Okay, and then at this point as well, conveyor is off. Okay, so we can also put conveyor off here at the end, but we just take a look at what the condition is at the starting of the step 2, and the ending or the ending trigger of this step is that because we know that the stamping must be in operation for some seconds. Okay, so say it takes 5 seconds, so the end of this step before moving is that the 5 second has elapsed. Okay, so time elapsed, say 5 seconds. Okay, or you can also write timer finish counting. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, and then so that means if the timer finish counting at the end, so it will supposed to start at the beginning. Okay, so timer start counting. Okay, then if we take a look at the next step is that conveyor should be on again, right? So after 5 seconds of the stamping, so stamping cylinder goes off, timer also finish counting. So I just write down here stamping cylinder on and stamping cylinder off. Okay, and then the next step is conveyor must be on, and then the conveyor must be on until it reaches the labeling sensor. Okay, so the labeling sensor, what it does, it stops the conveyor. Okay, so step 4, you have the labeling cylinder on, and also the timer start counting. So this timer is the timer for labeling. Okay, and the end is timer finish counting. Say counting, say 10 seconds. Okay, and then the labeling cylinder off. Okay, so I think at this point, to avoid confusion, I just put the conveyor off at the end of the first step. Okay, and then also conveyor off here. Okay, so basically for the first step, starts with conveyor on and end with the stamping sensor, and when this ends, the conveyor should be off. And the second step, stamping cylinder should be on and timer start counting, and the end will be timer finish counting and stamping cylinder off. Okay, so it goes same way again on step 3 and step 4. I have just explained. So step 5, the conveyor should turn on again, because once it's finished labeling, it should move, right? Until it reaches the packaging sensor. Okay, and then the conveyor should be off at that point. Okay, so then the next step is the packaging cylinder should be on. Okay, and then the end trigger is timer of the packaging itself finish counting, which is, for example, 15 seconds. Okay, so 5, 10, and 15 is basically for set 4. Okay, so other set have different different time. Okay, so for this step 6, you have timer should start counting at the very beginning, and at the end you should have packaging cylinder off. Okay, and then after step 6, it will turn back into the first step. Okay, so you will loop after that. Okay, now we have all the steps in place, then we have to design our program. So remember, shift register, with shift register you have basically 3 blocks of program. Okay, so the first block is the initializing the shift register. Okay, so initializing the shift register should look like, firstly we have to move one value 1, because that value 1 is actually, we set 1 bit to the least significant position in the register. Okay, so we move 1 to, for example, H0. Okay, so then when we move, or we copy value 1 into the register, we can initialize the shift block for that register. Okay, so shift H0 H0, so it should be the first line should be an off button, so that the shifting only happens internally. And then you have a working bit. Okay, so working bit can be anything, so I just choose 2.0 here. And then you have the reset one. So typically we reset with a stop button momentary, so we can use reset, or even we can use a stop button here. Okay, so what happened during the initialization is that if we take a look at, for example, the 8-bit register, CH0. So if we have 8-bit, 8 location inside here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so when we move 1 into H0, you will put the least significant bit equals to 1, and then Allahu Akbar. Okay, and then the rest of this is 0. Okay, so this is what happened when we move value 1 into H0. Okay, now if we take a look at the shift register here, we have the contact W2.0. Okay, what it does is basically, if we on and off, okay, if we on and off and on and off again, so once we turn on, it will shift the value inside the register 1 bit forward. So that means once it goes on here, it will shift from 100 into 01000000. Okay, then if it is off and on again, it will shift again 001000 and so on. Okay, so as you shift, it will turn on different part of the register. So the least significant bit is 0.00. Then you have H 0.01. Then H point 0.02. And you can see the first step is H00 is on. The second step, H001 is on and 00 is off. The rest is off. Okay, the next step is 002 is on, the rest is off, and so on. Okay, that's why it is important for you to um, outline the step for your solution first. Okay, so the first part of the block is initializing the register.